everyone, welcome back. It is I, Pat, here to do a Pat podcast after a week of disappearance. I've not been seen, not even at 9 a.m. Nobody knows where I've been. I've been lost in the ether, never to be heard from, seen from, or smelled ever again. Where have I been, you say? I'm sure you don't really care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Is that okay? Is that okay? I've been sick. Apparently, I had this thing called a sinus infection. I've had them every year since my senior year of high school. It's the ugliest, most gross, painful. No, it's not really painful. It's just annoying. Goopy. Have you seen Ghostbusters 2? You know that river of slime they go down to? And it's like there's an underground railroad, and it's filled with this pink, oozing, pussing slime. That's about half of what was in my chest. Because, like a genius, I let it develop into bronchitis. But I'm getting ahead of myself. A week ago, prior to this last week, before spring break, I started feeling symptoms of being sick. And like a typical guy, as most gentlemen do, I tend to deny the fact that I'm sick. I attribute it to allergies, even though every single year up until this point, I'm 31. I've had a sinus infection almost every single year since I graduated high school. And I graduated high school in 2004. So this should show you how much of a doofus I was for assuming that this was not the case here. I started spitting up mucus. I started having this. Isn't this a wonderful podcast? I'm so glad you're here. Visualize the mucus. Not really. Well, anyway, I started getting the symptoms of what a sinus infection is. And I knew better. And I know that the second I get that, I should run off to the doctor, get the meds. That way I can skip it, and I'll be fine. And I keep telling myself, get the meds, because going to the doctor and getting the meds is better than getting sick. You will not like being sick. It is not fun whatsoever. But I'm not a very smart man, and I attributed it to allergies. I took Advil and all this other great stuff, and turned out it was actually a sinus infection. But I don't think that I'm completely at fault for wanting to wait for forever to get to the doctor. Most guys can agree with this, I think. Can you agree with this? I don't like the process of having to go to the doctor. Because, the doctor, it's just like, oh, just go to the doctor, get the meds. It's not just going to the doctor and getting the meds. It's not how it works anymore. Now it's about making sure that you go to your primary caregiver. Your primary is what it's called in the health insurance world, apparently. Making sure that your healthcare primary is still your healthcare primary, because health insurance laws changing all the freaking time here in the States. Everything's happening, so you have to adjust as best you can. End up paying a fortune for a guy you never want to go see. That's my logic, right? And you go down to the office. I'm going to tell you my experience so that you realize it's not just me. So I go down to this person's office after a week of letting it sink in, convincing myself I was better, it not being better, it getting worse, and finally to the point where I woke up literally like I could only breathe in, and that was it. And my chest was hurting, and I was coughing up this junk. And even to this day, I still feel this crap in my throat, and it's still all this junk and stuff I probably shouldn't be drinking with antibiotics. But I woke up, and I just told myself, you know what? I'm actually scared. I'm going to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor. And I go halfway there, and I call my employer. Let her know that I'm going to be out, which I should also mention that my employer was sick as well. And that's a totally different story. So it worked out in a way because I guess, she empathized with me and was like, oh, okay, well, you're sick. Go get that taken care of. And I thought, oh, no, hopefully they'll just give me an inhaler or whatever. I go to the doctor, and it's a whole process. I actually saw one of the signs on the thing that says, to see a doctor, you have to wait a minimum of 30 minutes. I'm sure this is a new policy, but it makes no sense to me. It's like, if you fill out all your forms and a doctor's available, are they still going to make you wait that 30 minutes? I'm sure that's the case. So I'm sitting there. All my forms are filled out. Everything's done. The 3-4 pages of crap they have you fill out. And at this point, I've filled out that form so many times that I stopped caring. I just stopped caring. I don't care if my handwriting's bad or they can read what I say. I don't even see the point in it, because I know that once I'm done with this doctor, I'm never going to go back again, because I can't stand doctor's offices. I can't do it. And finally it's finished, and I go and I turn it in. I'm sitting there and I'm coughing, and then there's other people there and they're coughing, and some of them sound a lot worse than I do, so I feel really bad. You get perspective. And they're watching a god-awful show, like some weird detective, like, telenovela thing on the TV that nobody in their right mind would watch, but everyone's forced to watch it because that's what's on. And it's some detective show where they're saying very inappropriate things and jokes, and it's like, oh my god. You're sitting there, and then you get that one person that's like, Mr. Nicely, and then I'm like, okay. So I get up and I go and I talk to the person. The person says, I need to see your insurance card. Okay, here's my insurance card, whatever. And then they see clearly that one of their doctors is on the stupid thing. They look at it, but they still have to do that look, right? Like of, okay, if you say so. It's like, yes, of a world of fake IDs and all that stuff, I faked a health insurance card, right? Frustrating is my point. I can't stand it. And I sit down, and I'm sitting down knowing perfectly well that I'm having to wait the full 30 minutes before they see me. And I counted it too. The second I turned it in, stopwatch on my phone. I'm like, okay, let's see if this is actually accurate. And I sit there and I'm waiting. Looking at my phone, reading emails, going to text messages, and talking to the guys. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it better not be that I'm just sitting here doing nothing simply because I am expected to wait 30 minutes. If they're available and it's their policy to force me to wait 30 minutes before I get there, it's almost as if they're testing you. If we tell him he has to wait, maybe he'll decide whether or not he's really sick, and maybe he'll leave. That's what it felt like to me. So anyway, I'm there with my stopwatch. I'm waiting, doing things. I go to check on it. I kid you not, 32 minutes in, Mr. Nicey. And I'm like, the most frustrated feeling I ever had in my life. Because that told me that, yes, they exactly set a timer for 30 minutes, more or less. And then they were going to call me in. I should wait for the stab wound victim to come in to the door and say, like, you know what? I'm sorry. You're going to have to wait 30 minutes no matter what. That's their policy. But I'm bleeding to death. No. You're dying. We see the physical knife in the side of your neck, but it's a policy. Sorry. Terrible. Just terrible. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is you're having to deal with hoping that they're not going to screw up your insurance. You know, there's a reason why you go specifically to a doctor on your card. Because you go anywhere else, it's a guessing game. Go to urgent care clinic. Oh man, they're going to charge you twice as much and plus $15 to go to an urgent care clinic. Yes, it's an urgent care clinic, and but I mean, it's kind of like you don't choose when you get sick. But when you do get sick, usually the best time you have to go to the doctor is when? The weekend, when your doctor's office is typically closed. So where can you go that's open? The urgent care clinic, which is going to charge you twice as much, and defeats the whole purpose of having insurance in the first place. It's so dumb. And you go there, and then you're dealing with the rude people. Like my employer was telling me how they went to ask if they accepted Medicaid because she went on Medicaid this year. And instead of saying, oh, no, we don't, I'm sorry about that. It's like, nope, we don't take it. You're a healthcare receptionist person. These people are sick. They're coming in. Show some sympathy, you harlot. Anyway, sorry. And then those waiting rooms, man, they're a joke. I talked about waiting there for 32 minutes, right? So, of course, I have to go through the usual process of the sick competition. Does anybody know what the sick competition is? Let me tell you what the sick competition is. I bet you most of you know what this is. It happens at work. It happens in schools. It happens in classrooms. It happens everywhere. You could be at work and it'll be silent like this. And all of a sudden you feel this itchiness in your throat and you fight it back because you know what's about to happen. Because you know the second you go to that second you cough, 4 other people are going to start coughing. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try to suppress that cough and you just clear your throat, 4 different people are going to cough. And you know why? I figured it out. Because in their mind, they're thinking, oh, he's going to try to pull a sick day. He's going to do a sick day. So I have to prove that I am sicker than him, so that I can get the sick day. Or I want to prove that even though I'm sick and dying, I'm still here working and he's going home. Look at that, boss. Look at that. He's sick and going home, but I'm sick and I'm still working. It happens every time. And a sneeze is involuntary, but I swear the same principle sometimes still applies. You sneeze once the entire day, and the second you sneeze, the floodgates open. It's like gunshots going off everywhere, like fireworks. It's everybody starts sneezing, and I don't think they do it intentionally. I think I said once in an earlier cast that to me, motion attracts motion. Action attracts action. So if something were to happen one time, then a million different times, something else is going to happen just because it happened. Just because you chose to get involved in something. I want you guys to test this once. If you're at a job site or you're at work, you're at the mall, for God's sake, I want you to try coughing. Just cough. Because I think it's an involuntary response most people have nowadays with this. And I guarantee you'll hear 5 other people who previously weren't coughing start coughing. Because subconsciously they're trained to compete with you for how sick you are. So they can prove that they have it worse, yet they're still out and about. And they don't even realize they're doing it. But why did I cough? Oh, it's because somebody else here is trying to be sick. I guarantee you that's the reason. And I hate missing work. It really bothers me. It bothers me. I don't like it. And I think that's why most of the time I deny being sick because I like my job. I don't want to be out. I want to stay there. So what ends up happening? You know, you're trying to not leave, and then you're getting competition and this idea that other people are thinking, oh, I have to prove that I'm more sick than him so that he knows that he should push through it. And it's like, no, that's self-righteous crap. And then you also have the people that do the home remedy contests. You know what the home remedy contest is too, right? Everybody knows the solution. Everybody knows the fix. Oh, you get the tea, and you get the lemon, and you get the honey. Oh, but you don't just do that. You also get the humidifier, and then you also turn your head upside down, and you dance like a chicken 3 times, and you wave your arms wildly over your head, and then you pass out, and when you wake up, you discover that you're actually an enlightened soul. Oh, but you're sick. That's not the one you wanted? Okay, well, here's what you do. You get a broomstick, and the sick competition just doesn't end. And it keeps going and going, and it's so aggravating to hear. I mean, and it's bad because it's like you care about these people. You know they're trying to help you. They want you to feel better. You don't want them to think that you're just a jerk. You want to show appreciation for what they're telling you to do. But oh man, it's too much sometimes, and it's out of the same nature as the sick competition. It's like, I want to show that I know the answer. I want to show that I'm tougher. I'm going to show you that I know how to get rid of your illness, and that's why I'm still here. It's like, yeah, well, whatever. Oh, what's this? A text massage. And then you go home, and you're tired, and you're sick, and you're frustrated that you're home already. And you find out your kid has the flu. Thank God it was just like the little B strand flu, and he got on top of that, and he's fine. Kid's fine. But then I start going through the sickness competition with him too, and as the dad, you don't really get an option of being too sick to take care of the kid. You have to be on top of him, while at the same time taking unreasonably crazy precautions to not reinfect him with another thing that he can't have, like a sinus infection, for instance. And I went through the process of literally washing my hands every 5 seconds, no matter what it was I was doing, because I was paranoid. I don't want to get my kids sick. And I found out how dry my skin is. You probably can't see it here, but this is the reddest my skin has ever been, simply because I've scrubbed my hands to death to make sure that I don't have anything on it when I'm, preparing his lunch or putting him down for a nap. And then my wife's, God bless her, she's a trooper, man. She's a pregnant woman, and she's having to take care of us during her spring break. I could not imagine a worse fate than having to take care of two people during spring break. And I did my best to not have what's called the man cold or the man flu. And guys are accused of this. There was a Funny or Die skit about this where the man flu is just guys get sick and we act like big babies, right? I detest that concept. I can't stand that concept. I don't like being doted over. I really don't. I don't like the whole, you sit there and you be comfortable and I'll come watch you, because I know I should accept it. It's kindness, it's wonderful, but it also kind of, when people do nice things for me, I've been trained to think that they're going to want something, or they're going to expect me to feel sorry for them. So I'd rather just do it myself, so I don't have to go through that whole mental competition of whether or not, well, that's weird. Why would you think that? Everybody just kind of wants to help you. I get that, but on some subconscious level, you always get that feeling that they're expecting something in return, whether it be family members, coworkers, whatever. And I can't stand that. It's like, do the favor or don't do the favor. And I almost feel like telling them up front, okay, if you're going to do stuff for me, I appreciate it, but please understand that I'm not going to be obligated to tell you anything. But if you say that to them, they're going to rip you apart. I wasn't doing that because I was expecting something. I was just... No. Give me a break. Sorry, terrible. And it's just... the whole process of being sick is infuriating. I couldn't make anything. I couldn't make a video. I couldn't make any content. And I'm thinking, well, now any ideas that I have for what I wanted to do just went out the window. I actually recorded something, but I never had a chance to fully edit it. And I didn't want to do something that was going to sound like crap. So you can kind of hear that frog in my throat because I'm still trying to get rid of this crap. And it makes you question yourself, and you think, am I doing this because I'm sick? Or am I doing this because I'm lazy? And I have to convince myself I'm sick. I physically am being drained from the energy that I need to be able to do the job that I love to do, which is this. Which, by the way, I should mention, I love doing this. That's why even if it doesn't take off, I still enjoy having this opportunity to complain. Thanks, Internet. It's a great place to do that. Apparently, everybody does it. And I had to think about that for a second. And I thought, well, am I lazy? Or is this a fear? What do you mean fear? Why would it be a fear? What's a fear about this? No, the fear is I worry that if I were to put forth more effort while I'm sick, it's going to make me sicker or prolong my sickness. And a part of me thought, wait a minute. Am I just justifying it as a fear because I'm actually too lazy? Or is that actually a reason because I'm tired and I'm sick? And I had to decide, no, I'm sick. At least for 1 week, I'm sick. And I need to take a break from the 9 a.m.s, from everything, and I'll be okay. And let me tell you, that was one of the most painful decisions I ever made. Because it was the week of St. Patrick's Day. My beloved St. Patrick's Day, which I love, and is the pseudo anniversary for the Jackass Express. We're 8 years old, by the way. I should explain why it is our pseudo anniversary, but I feel like that's a whole different other story. We started in 2010 in November, but we didn't make it official till that March around Brandon's birthday. That's how I remember it started that time. And we needed a date to kind of commemorate that. And we figured since we like drinking, why not make it St. Patrick's Day? Sounds like an incredibly self-obsessive, narcissistic thing that it's St. Patrick's Day, but it just so happens that that was the date. The day after St. Patrick's Day is actually Brandon's birthday, who's another founder at the Jackass Express. And so I try to remind them of that instead of saying, oh, we just picked a day because it had my name in it. Although St. Patrick's Day is my patron saint. If you grew up Catholic, you know what that's all about. So there you go, me. But I missed it, and I was so angry because I'm on antibiotics. And I still am now, but I'm getting over them. I'm almost done with it, so I'm getting a little bit brave. And I'm like, you know what? I have to take this week off. I have to get better. And I'm glad I did, because now I feel myself actually getting better, and I feel myself returning to normal, except for this junk and congestion. Everything else feels normal except for my throat. I feel fine. So then it made me think about, okay, what is the difference between fears and being lazy? Because I have some legitimate fears, some legitimate phobias. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, that's not a phobia. You just haven't had enough. No, there's things I'm deathly afraid of, and I don't know why. And I think that's the reason why I can justify saying I have a fear, a legitimate fear of something. Roaches. I can't stand them. I can't stand them. If I had to, I would. But the truth be told, if I saw a roach, I go into this weird coma-like state, and I stop, and I walk out of the room as fast as I can, and I just freeze, and I have to find either somebody else who's in my vicinity, or the wife. I'll go to my wife, and she'll know. And she has no problem going, getting the broom, take it out. It's a bug. Does it. I can't stand them. Something about the way that they move, the way that they slither across. Even thinking about it right now, it just got me that, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. And it's just roaches. Spiders, I've seen spiders before. They bother me. But those I can just whack with the broom. They fall off the ceiling, dustpan, throw them outside. If they survive the broom whack, then I think they deserve to live. If they don't, well, problem solved. Sorry, spiders. Roaches, I can't stand. Oh my gosh. They need to be taken off this earth. They should not exist. Roaches should not be in existence. I'm sure there's a lot of animals that, and even some people that probably shouldn't be in existence, but these roaches should not be in existence. It's heartbreaking. It destroys. Okay. Anyway. Loud sounds. Sudden loud sounds, I should say. And I think it's because when I was a kid, I used to have this fear of people popping balloons, and it always startled me. And since I'm super self-conscious and I don't like people looking at me like, what the hell is wrong with him? I get nervous whenever a balloon pops or something loud slams, and I'm like it almost feels like a fear of gunshots or of fireworks or of like somebody just really angrily punched a wall or something like that. That loud sound, it sticks with me. It's almost like a weird trauma, and I don't even know why. It's like I listen to music extremely loud all the time, and that's how I feel like it's just a loud, sudden thing that happens. It freaks me the heck out. Also, I think I'm 31 years old, but I am somewhat afraid of the dark, but not for the same reasons that most people are. Well, maybe exactly the same reasons most people are. It's because when you have a creative mind, which I like to think I have a creative mind, or a weird, odd, strangely unhinged mind sometimes, you tend to imagine things that aren't real. And I'm not talking about you see things. I'm talking about imagine. You hear a click. You hear a thump. You hear it especially happens whenever like I'm drinking a bottle of water. The plastic on it bends in sometimes when you grab it. So that when you let it go, I'm going to try to do it into the microphone. Hopefully it's not too loud or too soft and you understand what I'm saying. When you hold it down and you let it go, it kind of does this little thing where it pops back out. And I'll hear that. And instead of thinking, oh, that's just a carton of milk that, is readjusting to room temperature because it got thrown out, and then now the bottle, so they're recycling, and so it pops open, and you hear a pop. Oh, it's just that. No, my mind says somebody just unlocked my door. Somebody just jammed a screwdriver into my lock, hit it, and boom, they're inside. And that's where my brain goes. Have you guys ever had that sort of fear? Has anybody else had that sort of fear? Irrational? I'm sure you have. But that's how I live out mine. And just crazy stuff like that. I'll think I hear footsteps. And at my parents' house, when I used to live with my parents, I legitimately did hear footsteps. And I did hear and experience some things, but that's a whole other story that I'll tell probably around Halloween one day and when I'm ready. As a freaking haunted house. I don't care what anybody says or criticizes me for. My parents' house has something in it that's not. Yeah. But I'm not scared of it. It's just, that's another story. I'll get to that some other day, maybe. But, I'm talking about normal things. Just things that are irrational and not right. And those are real, actual fears. So when I say fear or laziness, what do I mean laziness? Well, I tend to think I have a fear of driving. And that's a pretty common fear. A lot of people have that. They're afraid to get into a car accident. They're afraid of hurting somebody because of a mistake that they made. Not intentionally. There's a reason they're accidents. Now, most of the accidents that happen on the road aren't because of intentionality. It's just it's a mistake. It's a lapse of mind. Someone fell asleep at the wheel. Somebody overcorrected into a turn. They didn't realize the oncoming lane was not an oncoming lane, and they have a quick realization that that's the case. And that's a legitimate fear I thought I had. But thinking about it, I really do believe I'm just incredibly lazy. I feel like I have a great deal of laziness within me when it comes to driving. And I tried explaining this to my wife, where I said, I'm not afraid of driving. I just don't want to have to do it. I don't want to have to go through the mental chess game that is driving sometimes. And I'm sure everybody has terrible drivers in their city. I'm not saying they don't. But in El Paso, it's a very unique situation. People here drive mean. Very mean. And what I mean, I don't mean like fast but correctly. I mean fast and incorrectly. They don't like the fact that you're going 1 mile, like they're one car lane ahead of them. So they'll intentionally get to the side of you to pace you for a little bit, and then they'll get in front of you. Very specifically, they don't just pass a couple of cars in front of you. No, they'll pass you and get the car right in front of you because they want you to know that they were unhappy with how slow you were going. Even though you're going the speed limit, or you're even going a little bit above the speed limit, but because you're not going as fast as they want, they're going to make it a point to show you that they're mad that you were going so slow. Where the hell are they going? And, after a while, you just kind of learn to ignore it. You learn very quickly in the city that you can't have road rage. It's insanely irresponsible and dangerous to get road rage in the city because people, at least people in higher cities, they get road rage. They know how to drive well enough to show angrily speed off or show how cool their car is, and they, rev their lawnmower car, and it makes that big buzzing sound that sounds awful. And they're super proud of themselves, right? They're going home and they're just like, oh man, my car's so freaking cool. Yeah, I'm very happy my lawnmower sounds like that. So is my weed whacker. Is it cool? No, man, you just don't understand. You don't get it. No, I get it. It's stupid. Don't feel bad about it. Love cars. Don't like that sound. Don't like that mentality. Sorry if that hurts anybody's feelings, but it's true. It's stupid. And they'll like if you're at a four-way stop, it's basically a first come first serve sort of situation. And there's actually a lawful way to execute four-way stops, at least in Texas, where when you get there, it goes like a circle to your right, forward, this, and then you. If everybody were to get there at the same time, that's how you do it. But failing that, whoever gets there first goes. If there's two cars, they get there at the same time or less, you can go. And sometimes if the car got there and you got there a little bit after him, but then he's going to go, you can kind of cheat and go with him because the other cars are going to have to wait for him anyway. But some cars, they do this little California stop where they just kind of roll through the stop sign and they just go. And they do it because, no, I'm not going to have to wait. And then they just go. And it's nonsense. And I realize, I drive in that traffic and I handle it pretty well and I'm pretty calm in it. So I'm thinking, why do I say that I'm afraid of driving? And I discovered it. And the real reason I'm not afraid of driving, or the reason why I don't like driving, is because I'm lazy. I don't like the process of, like I said, playing the mental chess game. Who's going to do what now? Who's going to try to turn into this lane? Who's going to try to go when they're not supposed to go? Who's going to actually obey the red light? I've seen people go through red lights like there's no tomorrow. Like they don't even pay it. It's not they're not paying attention. I feel like they intentionally pretend like they're not paying attention. So if they do get in trouble, they can say, "Oh, I just didn't notice. Light was red." Oh. It's ridiculous. And I challenge you, come to El Paso, drive around here for 30 minutes. You'll never want to drive here ever again. It's awful. Because it's not that there's that many cars on the road. It's just the cars that are on the road don't know what the hell they're doing. And even if they do know what they're doing, they make up rules for what they're supposed to do. It's terrible. Absolutely awful. Somehow everybody gets to where they're going, thank God, alive, but it can be bad here. I mean, I've heard horror stories about LA and Austin. And in Austin, there's tons of people. They're going super fast. And people are impatient just like anywhere else. But at least they know how to drive. For the most part. I don't speak for everyone. Here in El Paso, parking lot at Toys R Us can be a nightmare just because of how weird people are. They get emotional when they drive. And I don't know what that is. They think they're inside a war machine. They can do whatever they want. Laziness is not uncommon with me. I tend to like to be left alone a lot. It's not because I don't like people. It's a weird thing about a person who has laziness / anxiety problems, I guess. Because you like being alone, but you don't like feeling lonely. But being alone allows you to do what you want to do without the preconceived judgment of others. You're not having to worry about their physical judgment there at the moment. And the thing is, they're probably not actually judging you, but you feel like they are, and you can already think of what they're judging you for. And instead of being able to do what you want to do, you're trying to think of how to counter what they're thinking, and it's just a whole mess. And psychologically, it's just awful. So I like to be left alone a while where there's no possible way for me to infer that anybody else is holding judgment against me for what I'm doing. It allows me that moment to relax, to unwind. I have a tough job that I love, but it gives me that chance to just stop, have some rum, you know. But it may look like I'm antisocial. When I'm not antisocial, I like being alone. I don't like being lonely, but I like being alone. It's a weird catch-22 sometimes. I mean, it happens even with content creation. Sometimes you feel lazy and you don't want to edit. And I think that's especially a dangerous thing to have, is when I feel like if I'm not in the mood to edit, I don't edit. I'll let the video footage pile up. I'll record things all day long, but I won't edit it, because if I don't feel the editing is justified, or I don't feel like I'm in the mood to do it, I will honestly find something else equally as important and do that instead. Because if I edit lazy, it shows lazy, I feel. And I don't want that to be how I'm perceived for what I do, because I actually enjoy editing a lot when I'm in the mood. So I have to make sure that, not necessarily that I'm in the mood, because sometimes you have schedules and you have to get them out there, but at least I'm not in a pessimistic, annoyed way about editing. Like it's controlling what it is I have to do. But I did find this one cool method on, and I'm going to wrap it up with this thing here about overcoming laziness. Because to me, laziness is a real problem. It's, I think it happens because you grow up being given tasks all the time. And when you're a kid, you tend to think of a million different reasons to get out of having to do those tasks. And you get really good at giving excuses. And eventually when you become an adult, you tend to remember those excuses. And you think, well, if I do this thing now, even when I came up with those excuses as a kid, I'm going to be a hypocrite. But you realize those things that you're supposed to be doing are actually very, very important. You need to do them. They're important. They're like getting a registration for your car, about, maybe making sure your budget's squared away, making sure the house is Lysol down after you have a sinus infection, those sorts of things. You have to do those things. They're not optional. But I realized that there was a little solution for it, and I saw on YouTube, and it was this, it's a very popular YouTube video. Probably people already know about it, or if not, 10 seconds, how to fight laziness is what I put into YouTube, and I got this, video on how to fight laziness, a Japanese technique or whatever. and it's called, what is it, Kaizen or something like that. And the idea is that you do something of a habit that you're trying to break or gain within 30 days, or 30 days, arbitrary number there, or however long. And the idea is that we as Americans tend to feel like if you're going to begin a new process, you have to jump into it and you have to do it for a long and hard period of time each and every day. And there's no other way to do it. And you have to force yourself to do it. And if you don't do it, you just feel bad about yourself. But that's usually the mentality that makes you quit. You feel bad about yourself and you give up right away. So what this method suggests is that you spend 1 minute every day doing the thing of the habit you're trying to get. Just 1 minute, 60 seconds. And let's say it's exercise, push-ups. You want to start doing push-ups. You want to start building core strength, whatever. Whatever exercise that you're trying to do, just do it for 60 minutes or 60 seconds. And then you try it again. Because the philosophy is that even the laziest person can do any task for at least 1 minute. You know, do a plank, do sit-ups, do run. Just for 60 seconds, run, or whatever. And the idea is that after a couple of days of just doing that 1 minute a day, you're going to say, well, maybe I can, you know, if I'm going to do this, maybe I'll go a little bit further. So then you do 2 minutes a day. And it develops in 3 minutes. So anyway, I'm giving that a try. It seems really promising. I'm going to give that a shot because I think I need to do that. Like, in my mind, I'm like, I need to drive for a minute somewhere that I don't want to have to drive to. Hell, I'll drive to the damn courthouse if I have to. Because when jury duty comes around, that's the place I dread going. And then drive back. And as far as I make it, I'll just go there, back, until I get to the point where it's like natural for me. But I really feel like it's not a fear of going there anymore, it's the laziness. So if I can make this method work for me, I'll be very excited. I'm going to try to put a link to the video that I'm talking about into the description. And I strongly encourage you that if you're trying to fight a laziness or a habit, or you're struggling with whether or not you're actually afraid of something, or you feel maybe that you're just afraid of having to put forth energy, this might actually be a video that helps you kind of like fix that mindset. Because it's weird. It's like when I realized it, that I'm being more lazy than actually being afraid, it's like a truth that I realized that even if my emotions and my psychology rejects it at first, it made sense. So it's like, well, just because you reject it doesn't mean it's not true. So you are lazy. You've just been convincing yourself you're not to justify being lazy. So, okay. So I'm going to try this Kaizen method of doing one thing new every day, or 1 minute of the new thing that I want to create a habit for every day until that happens. I'll hopefully keep you posted. I want to be consistent with that. Maybe being consistent, I could try to be consistent for 1 minute every day and not go off onto random topics. But I think that's just about time here. I think I went a little bit long. Hopefully I can condense this and I can do some editing for 1 minute. But thank you for watching the Pat Podcast. Please visit me on Facebook, facebook.com/JackassExpress. Our Twitter handle is @JackassExpress. Please tweet us there. Follow us there. I have my personal Twitter @Celtichorn, CELTICHORN. That's just me personally. The group's name is, of course, Jackass Express, the JAE. And, of course, we'd love to have you subscribe and like our channel. So if you would be so kind, that would be very helpful for you, or very helpful for us. And we'd be very appreciative of it. I mean, truly we are. It's a dark time in YouTube, people. Please be generous. Please. I can only afford so much rum without your likes and comments and subscriptions, please. No, but seriously, it would mean a great deal to us. We have a lot of great things in store for you. The guys are really excited to share some stuff with you. I know I keep saying that, but it's just a matter of finding the time to do it. They are actually busy. They're not lazy. They're actually busy doing other stuff, and I appreciate their time. So we're going to get good stuff going. And once again, I thank you for joining us, and hopefully you had some fun listening to this. And remember to laugh at yourself, folks, and don't take yourself too seriously. Farewell!